Good morning and welcome back to Football League World TV. It is Friday. It's time for the EFL betting show here on the channel. Back for another EFL season. My name is Sam Rourke, the Chief Editor of footballleagueworld.co.uk, and I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Ned Holmes and Adam Jones, this morning to run through all the best bets in the English Football League this weekend. Ned, how are you getting on this morning?
Yeah, all good. Thanks, Sam. Looking forward to sort of second weekend of EFL action. I think this weekend probably a lot easier to. It's probably a point where maybe the markets haven't updated with sort of what we're seeing, but we've got enough to go on. So there should be some good stuff in there if you can find it. We've just been saying before we came on air that it is a tough one really to find that value.
Certainly is. Adam, how you getting on?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. It's going to be a very competitive weekend, especially in Championship and League One. Some very, very tight fixtures in there, and that's kind of what's making the betting and this betting show very, very difficult. But yeah, I'm looking forward to giving out my picks.
So if you've never watched the EFL betting show here on Football League World TV before, we essentially select 4 different selections. We each pick a banker, an accumulator, a value bet, and a wild card. Please do, if you're watching this on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, send in your comments. Have you got any bets on this weekend? We'd love to hear about them. Just a reminder, please do gamble responsibly, 18 and over. Right, we're going to start off with the banker. Right, there we go, Ned. Let's get your banker then in the EFL this weekend.
So I've got Pompey or draw against Lincoln. That's 5 to 6. So fiver returns £6. I'm a bit worried about the Imps this season. I've got to say, for me, they look a team that could really sort of drop pretty hard. I mean, I'm not convinced, particularly by their recruitment. Obviously, they've always sort of had to operate on a small budget and be clever, and they've never sort of, that's never harmed them too much before. But with Appleton now gone and obviously Mark Kennedy, a bit of a mystery. You hear a lot of good things about him as a coach, but you know, with a Lincoln side that, I'm not sure we're going to see in the ascendancy in too many games. How does that translate? Their 1-1 draw with Exeter City, to be honest, did little to convince me that to change my mind on that. And so, against Pompey, who really sort of showed the grit and determination that Danny Cowley had called for in that 3-3 draw away at Wednesday. I think this is where Pompey are going to get their first win of the season, or at the very least, another draw. And in that sense, for me, it's my banker, Pompey or draw.
Okay, have you got a price on that, Ned?
Yeah, it is 5 to 6.
5 to 6 on that one. Okay, Pompey, win or draw in that game. Adam, let's get your banker then.
I've gone with a Peterborough win against Morecambe. I think that the firepower of Johnson, Clark, Harris and Jack Marriott, I think, is going to be a bit too much for Morecambe this weekend. I mean, I look at the goals that Posh conceded last weekend. One of them was an own goal and another one was just a really silly mistake. I mean, if you're going to give Alfie May, the ball like that on a plate, of course he's going to score. So I'm not too concerned about Posh's defence at this stage. I think they've got more than enough going forward. Obviously, there's the factor that comes in with obviously Schmodix, he's obviously gone to Blackburn, which is going to work against them perhaps. But I still think they'll have enough firepower even without him, and with the home advantage as well. I think they'll definitely come away with the 3 points. Obviously, Morecambe, I think they're probably going to be one of the teams that are fighting towards the lower end of the division. And obviously, fired a home blank against Shrewsbury as well last weekend, and that was probably one of their more kind of winnable games. And as I said, again, the home advantage, I think, for Peterborough will be too much on the day. Obviously, they've got they had the low really of being relegated. Obviously, they were kind of perhaps expecting it anyway last season as one of the favourites to go down. So perhaps that's kind of one factor that will work in their favour in terms of them kind of not being too down about it. And they certainly came back with a bang last weekend with a really good and spirited comeback. So I back them for the victory this weekend.
Yeah, it was an impressive comeback from Grant McCann's side last weekend. There we go, Adam opting for a Posh win as his banker in the EFL this weekend. Anyone watching this, what is your banker this weekend? Who can you see simply not losing on the weekend? We'd love to get your thoughts. Right, let's look at the accumulator next. Right, it's Aka time. Ned, what have you got for me this morning?
I've got a little treble that comes in at 12.31 to 1. So a fiver returns £65.64. In that, I've got Pompey to beat Lincoln. As I said, I just think, steering, I think it's able to, if in an ACCA to sort of chuck something a little bit to lengthen the odds and going for just the win there for Pompey does that. As I said, worried about Lincoln a little bit, and I think Portsmouth will get that first win. And then I've got Salford to win away at Swindon. I'll talk about that one a little later when we get to the value, because it is excellent value. So that comes in there as well. And then I've got Middlesbrough to win at QPR. I think really we can see a bit of an early teething period for Mick Beale this season, obviously taking over from Mark Warburton. They struggled a little bit, pardon me, to create against Blackburn in the opening weekend. And Middlesbrough, I thought in that first half, particularly against West Brom, we really saw the best of them. They had the chances to put that game to bed. They didn't do it. Marcus Forss looks like he's going to come into the team. That should help them this week. I just think it's a great time to head to Loftus Road, to be honest. It's that early in Mick Beale's tenure that I think Borough really should be coming away from the 3 points, as long, of course, as the Teessiders can take their chances, because I think, we know how solid and well-versed that sort of midfield and defence is, and they're going to frustrate QPR, in my opinion, and they should get chances of their own. So, Middlesbrough to beat QPR, Salford to beat Swindon, and Pompey to beat Lincoln, a treble at 12.31 to 1.
Nice. I think that's certainly got a chance. You'd imagine if Ryan Giles plays like he did last weekend against West Brom, he could cause some real damage against the West Londoners this weekend. Right, Adam, what's your ACCA?
I'm thinking I should have gone with a Borough win now. I think Ned made a very compelling case for Middlesbrough and Chris Wilder's side. But I've gone with 4. I've gone with a Norwich win against Wigan. I was kind of reluctant a little bit to touch the Championship. I think there's quite a lot of tight fixtures in there this weekend. But I've gone with a Norwich win. I just think the golfing class between a side that was in the Premier League last season and against a side that were in League One, I think that will kind of be the difference this weekend. I think Peterborough, as I said earlier, against Morecambe, I think that's going to be a home banker. Ned said Portsmouth against Lincoln City. I've gone with a Portsmouth victory there. And I've also dipped down into League Two. Obviously, last season's playoff finalist Mansfield obviously lost last week, which was a bit of a blow for them. Obviously, a little bit of a hangover from last season. But I just feel like they're going to come back with a bang, especially at home. And I think they'll take a victory over Tranmere, who didn't exactly have the best result against Stevenage last week. So I think for me, having Mansfield in there is worth it as well. Kind of going through three EFL divisions really. That's 6.6 to 1, so that's not too bad. It's not a huge gamble, but I think it's definitely a winnable accumulator, and that's what I'm going to go for.
Okay. Well, anyone watching this, let us know your thoughts on Ned and Adam's accumulator for this weekend. Right, let's look at the value bet next. Right, Ned, have you found a value bet in the EFL this weekend?
Yeah, I haven't. And I think, honestly, probably since I think last season it was Blackpool to 5-1 to win at Sheffield United. Not since then have I been more confident in a value bet, it has to be said. Salford to beat Swindon at sort of shocking 11-5. It's obviously at Swindon. They are obviously last season's sort of player. They were in the playoffs in League Two last season, but I think this is a case of the bookies just really, they're not quick enough to catch up with the amount of change that's happened at the county ground over the summer, and what I perceive will be a slow start to the season for the Robins. Swindon, of course, losing Ben Garner and a couple of key players, the likes of Jojo Woolacott, of course, Jack Payne. There's clearly some quality still there in the likes of McCurdy and Gladwin. But I'm not convinced yet. We know enough about whether Scott Lindsay's going to be a success there. Obviously, he doesn't have any sort of first team experience. He was Garner's assistant stepping into the role, so question marks there. And then last weekend, I think really we saw reason to be concerned. A 3-0 defeat to a Harrogate side that I think a lot of people are tipping to struggle this season. I mean, that was an eye-catching one for me, and one that really perhaps a litmus test for exactly just how much of a struggle it's going to be to get over losing Garner and those key players. And then you've got Salford. I mean, I think Adam rightly put it there. I'm expecting Mansfield to be a really top team this season. I'm expecting them to bounce back, and they were beaten 2-0 by Salford, who I think, I know we say this every season really, but another strong summer of recruitment. And this season you do feel that it could be the year where they really push on. So that's 11 to 5. £5 returns £16. I just think that's excellent value for a game in which I think Salford really should be fairly heavy favourites.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's fantastic value for Salford this weekend. There we go. Ned opting for Salford City to beat Swindon at the County Ground, 11 to 5 with the bookies at the moment. Adam, what's your value bet this weekend?
So I've gone with a team to score 2 or more goals. I've gone with Millwall actually away at Sheffield United. I know that Millwall aren't exactly a team that you'd associate with scoring a lot of goals. They usually kind of pride themselves on having a very strong defence, obviously with the likes of Daniel Ballard and others as well, Jake Cooper, Murray Wallace in central defence, obviously keeping things very tight at the back. But they did score twice at Bramall Lane last season, and won really in a remarkable fashion. And although you'd kind of be expecting Sheffield United to take the points, I do think there are going to be opportunities. I think for Millwall, obviously, Sheffield United have got quite a new look defence, obviously with Kieran Clark. And if George Baldock gets injured, then they don't exactly have a backup right wing back option, and that's obviously a real possibility as well. So that he gets injured. So I think there are going to be opportunities. I think for Millwall, obviously I think George Honeyman is probably suspended after his red card, which is a bit of a blow for them. Obviously, Bradshaw as well out is going to be a bit of a blow, but they've still got the likes of Fleming, who's a new signing. I think he'll be exciting. Benik, who was already accustomed really to life there, considering he was there last season. Mason Bennett as well. They've got some forces going forward. Obviously, Charlie Cresswell last weekend as well, who scored twice, who could be a real threat from corners. I think Jake Cooper can be a threat as well, in the opposition box. So, there are definitely going to be, I think, some chances there. And that's the reason why I've gone with the Millwall scoring twice. And that's at 3-1, which I think is not too bad. It's not the best odds, but I think it's definitely a value bet there, and one to definitely take a chance on at 3-1, definitely.
Like you say, Millwall do seem to have goals from across the pitch. Like you say, Charlie Cresswell bagging 2 last weekend. An impressive performance from him in particular. Right, there we go. Adam opting for Millwall to score 2 goals or more against Sheffield United at 3-1. Anyone watching, let us know your thoughts on them value bets. Right, last up, let's look at the wild card. Okay, so for anyone who hasn't watched this show before, the wild card is a bet that's a little bit left field, but we still feel could happen. Ned, what have you got this morning?
So I'm starting off the new season with what I'm calling an on-the-road treble, which it comes in actually, well, there's sort of 2 prices. If you go for the winners, it's 53-1. So that's obviously a pretty massive one. Or if you're just confident of win or draw, it's 9-2. I've got Hull first at Preston. I thought they were they were very lucky to get not even just a result, but a win against Bristol City, deflected goal, and a penalty, which certainly wasn't a penalty. But my biases aside, I don't think you can underplay what a first win can do for such a change side. And I think that they're going to be full of confidence. There's clearly a lot of quality there, given the players that they've brought in this season. I didn't think Preston were hugely convincing either in their 1-1 draw with Wigan. And I just think we could see Hull upset them. And Hull being at 3-1 to win at Deepdale was sort of calling out to me. So I had to stick that one in there. Blackburn at Swansea. I think we saw against QPR, Blackburn are a team. It isn't Tony Mowbray's Blackburn anymore, but that I guess that DNA of a team that's really prepared to battle it out is still there, and I think again in the likes of Ben Berrington, Diaz, and obviously Tyler Morton coming in, Lewis Travis scored a pretty brilliant goal, and obviously the likes of John Buckley in midfield driving them forward. They have got players that I think can hurt Swansea, and I'm not sure Swansea have quite clicked into motion yet. That 1-1 draw with Rotherham obviously struggling against a team that will probably likely to be a little bit similar to Blackburn in terms of the way they're going to work and really push Swansea. So I think Blackburn in there as well for me, and then Millwall at Sheffield United. I'm the same as Adam. I don't see this being a sort of huge high scoring game. I'm big on Millwall this season, and I just think that the Blades struggled for chances against Watford. It seems as though Heckingbottom's going to stick with that young forward line, and I just can see them suffering a similar fate. Millwall just so good off the ball, that the way they work, that organised structure that Rourke has got everyone that's sort of buying so much into. I could just see Millwall getting a result on the road here. So yeah, 3 wins is 53-1. If you want win or draw, that's a 9-2. There's Hull at Preston, Blackburn at Swansea, and Millwall at Sheffield United.
Okay, like it. An away day treble there from Ned as his wild card. Adam, what's your wild card for this weekend?
So I've gone with over 3.5 goals and a result for 2 games. So it's quite a gamble, but it's a wild card after all. So why not? So I've gone with Charlton versus Derby. I think there's going to be quite a bit of attacking quality in there. I think Jayden Stockley will definitely score for the hosts. I think I think he'll have another kind of successful season there. And some of the championship quality that I think Derby have in their squad for League One, I think is going to pay dividends for them. Obviously, having Nathaniel Mendez-Lang, who's going to be a threat going forward. Conor Hourihane as well, as he showed last week. He may not be associated as being a real attacking threat, but he can still be a difference maker. And I think that that kind of championship class in many areas of their team will kind of pay dividends for them in terms of getting that away result. So I think that would be kind of like a 3-1 victory maybe for Derby, maybe even a 3-2 victory. And my other game, I'm going to go with West Bromwich Albion versus Watford. I've gone with another away win, I think, for Watford. Obviously, they only scored once at Watford against Sheffield United, and it wasn't exactly the most. I guess it was a well-worked goal, but some of the defending from Sheffield United was a little bit shambolic, really. And I'm not sure about West Brom kind of defensively at the moment. I don't think they have enough depth there. And I think that will kind of make them suffer in terms of their performance levels, because they don't really have enough really kind of competition for their places. So I think for me, I'm not fully convinced on West Bromwich Albion. I think Watford, they've still got the likes of Emmanuel Dennis and Ismail Assar, remarkably really in the Championship, and I think they're going to be real difference makers as well. And that is coming in at 107-1, so it's a big bet, but it's definitely one worth putting a fiver on maybe.
Yeah, so certainly some juicy odds there, Adam. Let's hope for goals then this weekend from your perspective. Obviously, last weekend was the lowest scoring opening weekend of a championship season. Let's hope for more goals this upcoming weekend. Right, well, that brings an end to today's EFL betting show here on Football League World TV. Ned, Adam, thanks for your selections and your time this morning. Thanks to everyone that tuned in to watch this show. We've got one more show coming up for you just shortly after this show, actually. It's the EFL Weekend Preview Show. Alfie Burns at the wheel for that one. He'll be joined by Marcus Alley to run through all the big games across the English Football League this weekend. There's so many cracking fixtures to keep tabs on. Right, well, that's it from myself, Ned, and Adam. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to Football League World TV on YouTube. Stick a like in below this video. It really does help us out. But until next time, we shall see you soon.